Your brain has built a magnificent machine called self, but sometimes that same machinery starts grinding gears in ways that feel utterly terrifying. Society tells us higher self-awareness is always a win, some kind of upward ladder we should constantly climb. But what if getting acutely aware of who you are isn't a victory? What if it's actually bumping up against something far bigger and scarier? That's the crux of it. Our internal life developed through blind evolution, totally disconnected from our messy feeling of me. So now, this intensely subjective little universe inside your head keeps slamming right into a hard, cold fact reality is relentlessly chaotic. It ages, it loses things, it ends. And you, the self, get stuck in this agonizing knot. You have the capacity for incredible pain, yet you are biologically wired to desperately want everything to keep going forever. But here's the pivot point, because I don't want to hand you doom. This horrible this raw edge of knowing yourself is exactly where humanity finds its most breathtaking stuff. Wonder, genuine meaning, hope. Those aren't accidents. They are forged out of this tension. You might hear people say self-awareness is poisoning you slowly. And yes, it brings brutal elements. But think of it less like poison and more like base metal. Humans have this almost alchemical knack to take that toxic recognition and transmute it into art, into fierce loyalty, into profound appreciation. Existence isn't neatly packaged as either pure bliss or utter dread. It demands you hold both crushing weight and soaring lightness at the exact same second. Now, listen carefully, because this is critical. Don't mistake my framework for gospel handed down from on high. My view is mine, colored by my experiences. Everyone approaches the chaos differently. Some see patterns visually, some dissect linguistically, some drown in emotion. There is no universal operating system for consciousness. As close as we ever get to grasping ourselves feels like staring at a distant shore. We can zoom in endlessly, but we can never quite step off the boat and land fully. So, how do you navigate this storm without capsizing? Stop fighting the fog. The maturity isn't found in eradicating confusion, it's in building tolerance for the permanent wobble of being alive. People freak out when confronted with the absurd nature of their lives, but those big questions spring from neurology, not willpower. Escaping them is functionally impossible. So, instead of running away screaming, move forward. Engage. Even if that means diving into uncomfortable feelings first. Also, let's talk about regret. Most regret is a phantom limb sensation, an elaborate trick played by your mind convincing you that other options existed. Statistically speaking, whatever happened was the necessary outcome of the conditions present in that moment. Accepting that limitation doesn't mean giving up. It liberates you from torturing yourself over roads untaken. Often, regret is just a desperate plea for ironclad control, which, spoiler alert, doesn't exist. And this ties into risk. Life isn't neat dominoes falling perfectly. Good fortune can pave the way for unexpected disaster, and tough times can build unseen defenses. We tend to crave linear payoff: good equals great reward, bad equals instant removal. Recognizing the wild asymmetry of life builds grit. Success doesn't guarantee immunity. Failure might secretly be protecting you. When decision paralysis hits, overwhelmed by infinite routes, simplify ruthlessly. Define what a genuinely acceptable floor looks like for your life. Once you know the minimum requirement, the field of sensible choices shrinks dramatically. Then, detach your gut impulse momentarily and choose the path that maintains motion practically and spiritually. Hyper-optimizing every tiny detail is exhausting nonsense. Sometimes letting go of caring about the trivial unlocks massive focus for the important stuff. Anxiety, ultimately, isn't proof that you're seeing clearly, it's evidence that you are seeing anything. Being consciously aware of a complex, uncertain world generates stress. Forcing that ocean of variables into one tidy box causes panic. Similarly, chasing objective truth is futile because our minds are already filtered through culture, geography, biology. True. Humility becomes the highest intellectual virtue. Keep asking questions, stay curious, and allow your conclusions to evolve alongside your observations. Finally, look at anger. Generalized fury burns uselessly. Targeted frustration born from actual boundary violations deserves acknowledgement, but recognize the line. How much of that simmering resentment is really old regret, masquerading as righteous indignation? Reduce the heat by realizing how much of the drama happens outside your sphere of influence. Desire itself seems tied to misery, sure, but maybe acceptance needs a different framing. Maybe the engine driving us, that restless urge to want, to seek, to push back, isn't the problem. Perhaps the truest fuel for existence isn't the sterile quest for guaranteed happiness, but the stubborn, beautiful fight to witness the wonder, even when you know the whole damn thing will eventually dissolve. Check out Profile for podcast summaries.